Hello everybody. After recently getting the platinum in The Last of Us Part 1, I have fallen in love with this world, the people, the characters, the relationship between Joel and Ellie, and I couldn't wait to get started with Part 2. But I wanted a little extra challenge. Well, actually that's not true. I just wanted a better sounding title, and to be honest, I got the platinum in The Last of Us Part 2. Doesn't sound that exciting. But I got the platinum in The Last of Us Part 2 on grounded difficulty. Now that is exciting. However, I'd later learn that this is a mistake. I mean, I should have learned with the countless warnings the game was giving me before I got started. But like the thick-skulled clown that I am, I cracked on and I paid the price. Also, before we get started in the meat and bones of this video, I am going to address the giant elephant in the room. And no, it's not me. But yes, this game is getting a remaster in literally less than a month now. So why did I decide to platinum the game now? Well, the truth is because I'd already started literally like the day before they announced the remaster, I started playing the game. And I was like, I don't want to wait around now. I'm just going to crack on. If they announce new trophies with the remaster, you bet your bottom dollar I'm going to be back and getting those trophies. But for now, the old one looks fine anyway. I mean, look at this game. It doesn't even need a remaster. Anyway, let's jump into it. So the game opens up with Joel cleaning his iconic guitar with that motif? Is that the right word? On the neck, while speaking to Tommy and sort of recapping the events at the end of the first game. I actually found this bit really interesting because the game here heavily implies that the Fireflies at the end of Part 1 would have 100% been able to extract the part of Ellie's brain that gives her the immunity and create a cure from that. But when I played Last of Us Part 1, it seemed a lot more ambiguous. It didn't seem a dead cert. It seems like we were going to kill Ellie for the chance that it would result in a cure. It painted Joel in a better light because, you know, that's his basically his daughter at this point, and you want to kill his daughter for the chance that you'll save humanity? Nah, son, let's kill some mofos. But in Part 2, it's like, oh yeah, it would have definitely resulted in a cure, but I killed those mofos anyway. Which makes Joel a lot harder. Well, a bit harder. Well, I still would have done it. Like, Ellie and Joel are great together. I have no regrets about what I did at the end of Part 1. Anyway, once we've caught Tommy up on everything that happened in Utah, we hop on our horse and head back to Jackson. And oh, blimey. Isn't this game just gorgeous? I mean, this game was running on a PlayStation 4. The PlayStation 4 came out in 2013. The Ultimate Edition of this game must have come with a fire blanket and a fucking extinguisher. Not to mention some air defenders, because you know that PlayStation 4 sounds like it's about to take off when you try and run Tetris on it. Like, how they got this to run on the PlayStation 4, I have absolutely no idea, but God, does it look good. So we return to Jackson and we have a cutscene between Joel and Ellie. And it's pretty clear just from this cutscene that there's some awkwardness between the two after the events that happened in Salt Lake City. Ellie is definitely a bit more closed off to Joel, but it does end with this beautiful scene with Joel playing Pearl Jam's Future Days.
If I ever were to lose you, I'd surely lose myself. Everything I have found here, I'm not found by myself. Try and sometimes you'll succeed to make this man of me. All my stolen missing parts, I've no need for anymore.
Damn, did this almost break me. After that, we cut to 4 years later, and now we're playing as Ellie. As Ellie, we meet Jesse, who comes to our door to wake us up, and after picking up some bigot sandwiches, we're introduced to Dina. Dina is Jesse's ex, who Ellie kissed the night before, and it's all a bit awkward because we don't know where we are with Dina at this point. You know, is this something, or was this maybe to make Jesse jealous? And yeah, it's all very high school. The game doesn't even give us enough of a reason to care, in my opinion. So it's just a bit eye-rolling. Anyway, after a quick snowball fight, we go and pick up our horse, Shimmer, and head out on patrol. By the way, who put Jesse in charge? Like, this kid is our age, right? Like, he can't be much older, 22, 23 tops. And he's just telling everyone where to go and what to do? I mean, fair enough, I suppose. But as we head out on patrol, the game cuts to a brand new character, Abby. Now, she is the other main playable character in this game, and she heads out with her friend Owen onto a cliff overlooking Jackson. It's clear that they're looking for a man who lives there. Now, it's pretty obvious who it is, but they don't say it, so I won't spoil it too early. So we'll just refer to him as Noel. Anyway, Owen ends up heading back to the lodge, but Abby is determined to find a way into Jackson, or at least a way to lure Noel out of Jackson. So we head out, and after dying in my very first encounter, remember I'm playing this on grounded difficulty, and then almost dying in my second. Oh my god. Grounded difficulty. We just about make it out of there and find some tracks leading away from the city. And then from that cliffhanger, she found some horse tracks. We then cut back to Ellie and Dina, who are still on patrol. And I must admit, for the majority of this part, there isn't a great deal to talk about, but we are introduced to our first clickers who may have killed me a few times. And we eventually reach a hideout of someone called Eugene, who, let's just say, has touched plenty of grass in his time. Whoa! Look at the ganja.
It's weed.
He's also a gamer. Like, this guy is the real hero of the story. You won't finish the game on this difficulty. I have faith in myself. There is only one thing I have more than stupidity, and that's perseverance. Is that PlayStation 3? That is so cool. Uncharted 2, Jak and Daxter. I don't know what that game is underneath. That is so cool. But in all seriousness, how did one man grow all this weed by himself? And imagine what Jackson could have got if they traded some of that weed. They're sitting on an absolute money pit in the apocalypse. Oh, and we also got our first trophy. Anyway, Ellie and Dina end up smoking some of the pot and then get it on. And honestly, I have no idea why we have to see so much of it and why we have to be so close to the action. I know they're of age, but it's still really uncomfortable to be this close. And the game does it again later on in the story with two other characters, and it's even worse there. I just don't know why we need to be so close and see quite so much. And it goes on for a few seconds too long. So then there's another fade to black, and guess what, guys? We're Abby again. And after running away from some more infected, a tactic that I employ many times through my playthrough, may I say, we get saved by some recognizable faces. When Callum plays Pokemon, he runs. Oh my word.
We're gonna have to run.
Joel! Sorry, that was really loud. I'm very excited. God, Joel, you're so badass. Man, can I just mention, how good does Joel look with longer hair? I mean, damn, dude. Anyway, now with Joel and Tommy, Abby tells them that her and her friends are camping out in a lodge not too far away. So we fend off some more infected. I die a few more times. And with the snowstorm getting worse, we head out to the lodge. And when we get to the lodge, it's made clear that the person Abby and her friends are looking for isn't a man called Noel. No, in fact, it's a man called Joel. Who could have seen that coming?
Tommy, this is my brother.
Joe. Y'all act like you heard of us or something.
Because they have.
So yeah, I have a couple of problems with this. First of all, I'm not sure why Joel, this guy, who was so skeptical of every person in the first game, including Ellie, would suddenly be so willing to head into a house with 7 complete strangers, let alone stand in the middle of a room with them all surrounding him and give him their first name, give them his first name, whatever. But I can forgive those as maybe he's gotten softer during his time at Jackson. He has been there 4 years at this point, and he had no choice but to trust them due to the raging snowstorm happening outside. But what I really don't understand is that at this point, Joel and Tommy must be two pretty key members to the community at Jackson, right? I mean, Tommy's led the community for the last 4 years, and look at the size of Joel's house. They don't give this house to just everyone. So Joel is clearly also very high up in the community. So why were they going on patrol together? That just seems like an unnecessary risk. Why would they do that? Anyway, I just found it strange. It wasn't like game breaking or anything, but looking back, I found it all a bit odd. But after this cutscene, we cut back to Ellie and Dina, who are interrupted by Jesse storming into the room looking for Joel and Tommy. Ellie panics that no one knows where they are and chucks her trousers back on and goes out to look for them. And now comes the most controversial part of the game.
Get her down! Get off me! Get her hands! Get the fuck off me!
You got her! Look, you got her! Okay?
You're gonna fucking die!
What's going on?
Let him go!
Who is that?
Let him
She
go!
snuck in.
Why aren't you posted up outside?
We didn't think anyone was gonna show up.
What the hell did you expect? We gotta get out of here before the whole town's on top of us. You're done.
You want what I want, right?
End it. Now.
Joel, get up. Joel, fucking get up. Please stop. Please don't shoot. Joel, please get up.
Hole in one!
Yeah, so Naughty Dog decided to kill off one of the most beloved characters in video game history. Not just that, they decided to do it within the first 2 hours of a 25 to 30 hour long game. And I think it's fair to say my initial reaction, I wasn't happy about this. Fucking killing her. I'm killing her. Who the hell are these fucks? Anyway, with Joel now gone, Tommy visits Ellie, who quite rightly is wanting revenge. Tommy reveals that he recognizes the patches on the arms of Joel's killers as the Washington Liberation Front. What was I doing here? The Macarena? I haven't got the patches. You know what arms are. Anyway, they're the Washington Liberation Front. They're based out of Seattle and they're otherwise known as the Wolves. Ellie makes it very clear that no matter what, she'll be going to Seattle to hunt them down, but agrees to give Tommy a day to speak to his wife, Maria, who also runs the compound or city or whatever you want to call Jackson. So the next day, we visit Joel's grave, as well as his home, and pick up his watch and his revolver. There, Maria finds us and tells us that Tommy has stolen one of the horses and gone after the WLF on his own. So Maria has no choice but to let Ellie and Dina go to try to save him, or help him out at the very least. I have to be honest, like, as badass as this is from Tommy, and don't get me wrong, it is bad. My initial reaction was, let's go, Tommy, that's badass. It doesn't make a lot of sense, right? Because Ellie has made it very clear to Tommy that no matter what, she will be going to Seattle. It's just whether she goes alone or with other people. Tommy, then learning that information, decides to not go to Maria, but go to Seattle on his own. That's just putting himself and Ellie, who he knows is going to follow him, under just needless risk. Why not just go with Ellie? Why not sneak out with Ellie? It doesn't make sense to me. I don't know if I'm missing something, but it just seems like he's putting himself and Ellie in unnecessary danger. Anyway, Ellie and Dina head off for Seattle, and on the way, we earn another trophy before making it into the downtown area. The downtown area is kind of a semi-open world. It's sort of linear in the illusion of being an open world, though, because although you can go where you want. It's within a very confined space, so it's not really an open world. But there are a few locations dotted around the map that you can freely explore, I suppose. And here we unlock a few more trophies for unlocking a safe, finding a ring, and then fully exploring the downtown area, I think was the other one. But the highlight is no doubt this amazing moment we get where Eddie plays Take On Me by a-ha on the guitar. And after just seeing one of your favorite video game characters of all time die, and then see his daughter, inherited daughter, sing this.
Shying away. I'll be coming for you, okay? Take on me. Take me on. I'll be gone in a day or two.
It broke me. Once we'd fully explored the area, we headed towards a local hotel where we found one of the men who was there the night they killed Joel.
Tommy did this. This? No way.
So with it clear that we're now catching up to Tommy, we turn the corner and then someone blows up Shimmer. Oh my... We don't have to worry about the horse again. I'll tell you, when this happened, now I'm angry. So when we wake up, we stab the guy in the neck, get fucking wrecked, and go on an absolute tear, killing everyone who stands in our way, and get out of the school first time. Please ignore this death counter. It must be broken. Once we make it out of the school, it's clear news of our exploits has been spread as there are WLF guards everywhere. We take them out slowly and stealthily before I make an absolutely cataclysmic mistake. You see, after reaching a checkpoint right next to some guards and getting killed off spawn, I decided to restart an encounter. It said restart encounter 20 minutes, so I thought 20 minutes ago I was only one checkpoint back. That's perfect. Nope. Are you shitting me? No, I want to go back to my autosave. No, fuck that. I'm not doing everything again. It respawned me back to the very beginning. I had wasted over an hour trying to get to where I'd got to, and then it restarted me back to the beginning. So I had to redo the whole section. And just a polite reminder, because I'm not sure I've mentioned it yet, I am doing this on grounded difficulty. I'm not good at video games. This was an hour and a half of progress that I had just lost because I'm an idiot. And to make it worse, where I restarted that encounter, this was the exit. Of course, I didn't know that because I'd never played the game before, but I definitely could have just ran and jumped over this fucking wall. But no, I was like, I'm stuck. I don't know where I'm going to go. And I keep getting shot. I'm going to restart encounter. And then I lost all my progress. I'm over it, though. It's fine. I'm not bitter. Anyway, by the time I reached the end, I was a shell of my former self, and I had 120 deaths on the death board. We're not even halfway through the second chapter yet. If I'd carried on how I was going here, by the end of the game, I'd be pushing 1,000 deaths. It does get better, I swear. I learned the game mechanics and stuff, but at this point, if it had carried on, 1,000 deaths. Easy. Probably not even close. Well over. So after some walking and a small little incident where I may or may not have blown myself up, now that was damn stupid, wasn't it? We make it to the TV station that was mentioned on a note we found back at the school. But once again, it appears we're a little late to the party. Upstairs, we find another member of the WLF already dead, and conveniently, she had pictures of every other member in her duffel bag. isn't that kind of her? And it has their names? That's awfully helpful. Anyway, the wolves come to the TV station, meaning we have to make a hasty exit, eventually finding ourselves in a disused subway. And this is where we are introduced to a brand new type of infected, the Shamblers. Now, these Shamblers are pretty similar to bloaters, but they're not quite as strong, as in they can't take quite as many bullets, but they emit spores. So you can't really get too close, and you can't stealth take them out either. So you need to keep your distance, and you need to use your guns, which on grounded difficulty, if you've got to use your guns, it's pain, basically. These things can be brutal, especially at this stage, because there's just a lack of weapons. I managed to take them down and get away after a few attempts, but I had absolutely zero resources after I did. And that's easily the most difficult part about Grounded, by the way. Like, the enemies are difficult, sure. They're a pain, sure. But it's just the lack of resources you get. It's absolutely brutal, because you go against these difficult enemies and you have nothing to take them out with. So you're forced into stealth, and I'm bad at video games. It really does help if you know what encounters you're going to encounter throughout the game. Like, I imagine this is so much easier if you know the game and know what's coming up. I obviously played it first time on grounded difficulty. I had no idea when the big encounters were. I had no idea whether I was in a big encounter or whether there was a big encounter just around the corner. Anyway, as we exit the subway, Ellie's gas mask breaks, and with Dina not knowing that she is immune, she's quick to offer up hers.
Ellie, no! Stop! I'm not infected. I'm immune. I'm not coughing, you see?
Holy shit.
Dina. Shit. Can you run?
Yeah. Yes.
Let's fucking go! Go!
So, with Dina now aware of Ellie's immunity, we head out of the subway and find a nearby theatre to rest in. And this is where Dina drops a bombshell of her own.
Ellie. I think I'm pregnant.
What the fuck? How does that work?
What?
What?
Don't worry, it's not yours.
That's funny. So, after exploring the theatre for a little bit and Ellie making it clear she doesn't actually know what a theatre is,
Joel, you'd love watching a movie in this place.
we eventually have our first flashback of the game. And saddle up, because there's going to be a few of these. Oh, we're going back in time again.
It's starting to sound like something.
Oh no, my heart.
I suck.
Oh, my heart.
Just need to build up your calluses, that's all.
Yeah.
But in all seriousness, this might actually be my favourite chapter in the whole game. Here we're taken back to Ellie's 15th birthday as Joel has a surprise. And honestly, nothing in this flashback is relevant to the story. But it was just so great to see these two characters interact and bounce off each other just like they did in the first game. It's what made it so great, and I'll be lying if I said I didn't almost tear up in the launch sequence part. This shit was beautiful.
Do okay?
Are you fucking kidding me?
You're welcome, kiddo.
Oh, and we also earned another trophy for putting a hat on Joel. So that was pretty fun. Anyway, back to the main story now, and we wake up to find Dina being very, very ill. Just those pregnancy things. But she does tell us that she's been listening to the wolves on the radio in the office, and they've been mentioning a lone male trespasser making his way through a neighborhood called Hillcrest. So with Dina too sick to move, Ellie heads out on her own to find Tommy. And this Hillcrest, or Hellcrest section, as I called it, was literally the toughest part of the game for me. And I'll tell you why. I'm an absolute idiot. So at this point, I was about 6 hours into the game. So I obviously knew you could go prone. I had done it plenty of times before. Obviously, a new mechanic for the second game wasn't in the first. But I'm not joking when I say it took me another 2 hours of gameplay and probably 50 plus deaths in this section to put 2 and 2 together and make fish. It took me so long to realize that if you went prone in the tall grass, it is much harder for the guards to see you. What? You're kidding? No. I mean, fucking duh, right? And even with this knowledge, I still ended up well over 200 deaths by the time I got past the Hellcrest section. But don't worry, I get my own back on my New Game Plus playthrough. But honestly, you can see the relief on my face when I finally do it. The only thing that could possibly make me happier than I am at this moment right here is if you were to like this video, smack that subscribe button, and take a mallet to that notification bell. Also, if you made it this far, leave a comment saying the homies hate Hellcrest, and I'll like each one with the little heart thing as well. Not a normal like, you get the special treatment. Anyway, it turns out that the lone survivor the wolves were talking about wasn't actually Tommy, but Ellie's girlfriend's baby daddy, Jesse. That's going to make for an awkward Thanksgiving. So with Jesse now with us, we take down a couple of guards before stealing a truck and going through a pretty cool set piece, to be fair, made even better by the fact you could get unlimited ammo, which meant I could just unload on any unsuspecting tree or hedge that was somewhere in the vicinity of an infected or wolf that I was actually trying to shoot at. Eventually, we crashed the car into a river before escaping and heading back to the theater. Yeah, things are about to get awkward. Dina is happy to see Jesse, which leaves Ellie all grumpy and left out. And then we go into our second flashback of the game. This time, after some hunting with Tommy, which it took me like 5 minutes to work out how to zoom here, because on grounded difficulty, you don't get any HUD, like head-up display. So I didn't know you had to press X, and I literally had to search it up, because Tommy is like, what the fuck are you doing? Shoot the infected, or shoot the sign. And I'm like, I don't know how to do that, Tommy. You haven't told me. Anyway, after that hunting sequence, Ellie and Joel head out looking for some new guitar strings from a nearby music shop. And to do so, they need to cut through a nearby hotel, which it turns out is filled with infected. And after just 18 deaths during the lobby section alone, we then have to take on a bloater, which I actually managed to do on my 3rd attempt. I was quite proud of that one. Anyway, in terms of the relevance to the story, there's only 2 parts, really. There's a bit where Joel explains why Ellie should always wear her mask in spores despite her being immune. And then there's a bit at the very end where Ellie again questions what happened at the hospital in Utah at the end of the first game, showing that she can still tell that something wasn't quite right with what Joel had told her. But anyway, back to the main story. And Dina tells us that while we were gone, she heard on the radio that another member of the WLF, Nora, was stationed at a hospital. So with Jesse resting and Dina still pregnant, we're on our own again as we fight our way there. And after encountering our first stalkers of the playthrough, which are still pains in the ass from the first game, we finally come face to face with the group responsible for all those deaths at the TV station, the Seraphites, or Scars as the wolves call them. And honestly, I expected this to be really, really difficult, but it was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. There was loads of grass to crawl around in. Did you know that if you crawl around in the grass, it's a lot harder to be seen than if you just crouched in the grass? So you could crawl around in this grass and then take them out, and their bodies are pretty much hidden, so the enemies have to go right up to them and basically trip over the bodies before they can see them. The next section, however, wasn't so easy with this parking garage. Parking garage? What am I? It's a car park. I don't know why I called it. Why did I go American? Anyway, with this car park, it was nowhere near as easy, but eventually I decided to just make a run for it and end up facing this giant brute. And he, again, was an absolute pain in the ass, not necessarily because of him, but because he has some friends follow him out after you've killed him. So you basically have to shoot him in the head and then get the hell out of there, because if you hang about, his 2 friends will just instantly kill you. But again, we get it done and make our way into the hospital, where we meet this young lady who is playing Hotline Miami on the PS Vita, an absolute baller game choice, by the way. Wait, is that a PSP? It's a PS Vita. That's hilarious. So we stab her in the neck. Oh, Ellie, you absolute psychopath, you. And then we have to infiltrate the hospital itself. This wasn't actually too bad because I managed to cheese some guards around this blue boat and just take them out whenever they came close. So I only died a handful of times. Eventually, we find Nora, who has a banging taste in music, by the way. Anyway, she ends up running, Ellie ends up chasing, and we both end up in the spore-infested basement. And with her lungs struggling to gasp, she realizes that Ellie is the immune girl, showing that she was obviously involved with the Fireflies or perhaps at Salt Lake City during the events of the first game. Anyway, Ellie beats her with a pipe, because that's what she does in this game. After this, Ellie is clearly upset, like it really affected her beating Nora with a pipe. I mean, bitch, please. We've been blowing up dogs, stabbing people, shooting anything that moves for the best part of 2 days. Why has this suddenly hit you so hard? And then we go into another flashback. I mean, Jesus H. Christ, can we just stay on a timeline for more than an hour? But to be fair, at least this one has major significance with the story. You see, this flashback shows the exact moment where Ellie found out that Joel had lied to her at the end of the first game. And she was, in fact, the only immune person. And once again, it heavily implies that whatever Ellie has in her brain would have 100% led to a cure. Again, playing the first game, it doesn't give that impression. It doesn't feel so definite as part 2 seems to be implying. Anyway, Ellie is obviously very upset about this revelation and swears that she and Joel are done. I don't know how I feel about her being so upset necessarily. She obviously sees it as Joel taking away her choice in making a difference in the world, but she never had a say in what was going to happen anyway. During that whole time at the end of the first game, she was passed out. She was never going to have the choice. The Fireflies weren't going to wake her up and say, would you like to die to save humanity? No, they were just going to operate. They were just going to kill her. If the Fireflies had done that and she had said, yes, I want to sacrifice myself for the good of humanity, I'm sure Joel would have protested. Of course he would. But he would have eventually understood and he wouldn't have gone on a killing spree through the hospital. But that wasn't an option. But I guess to be fair, she doesn't know that. So we return back to the present day, and it turns out that Nora's dying words were Abby's exact location. So with Jesse now out of his gym jams and ready to head outside, we go towards the aquarium. On the way, though, something happens that I just need to talk about, and it's an example of one of my biggest problems with this game. So halfway through our journey to the aquarium, we overhear some guards talking about a sniper at the marina who's been taking out a load of wolves. And they say that more wolves are being sent to take this sniper out. And it's very clear to everyone that this is Tommy. So Jesse rightly says, forget the aquarium. Tommy is in trouble. We need to help him. But Ellie, in all her wisdom and compassion, is like, nah, fuck that, my G. We're going after Abby. She didn't say it like that. But this just makes absolutely zero sense for the character. Outside of Joel, and I guess Dina now, Tommy is the most important person in Ellie's life. And the fact that she's willing to leave him in potential danger for some personal revenge mission is so outside of herself that it's alarming. This is meant to be the same character that in the first game gave that incredible, heartfelt speech about how everyone she's ever trusted, she's lost.
Loss is.
Everyone I have cared for has either died or left me. Everyone fucking except for you. So don't tell me that I would be safer with someone else, because the truth is I would just be more scared.
And we're now meant to believe this, the woman that's willing to sacrifice Tommy just to get one over on Abby, is the same person. I know grief will make you do things that you would never ordinarily do, but I simply refuse to believe that this character would be so willing to let Tommy and Jesse, who has apparently been her friend for 4 years, fend for themselves, knowing that the wolves are basically sending a whole war party after them. This isn't the Ellie that I loved from the first game. In fact, this is Joel, but the alcoholic smuggler Joel that we're introduced to at the start of the game, before his character has any time to develop, it's a massive regression for Ellie's character. And she isn't the only character that acts irrationally. In fact, I'd say Tommy has it even worse, with him putting himself and Ellie in needless danger by leaving without her. And I mean, something happens later on in the game that I'm going to leave it, okay? I'm going to leave it. I'll mention it when it happens, but holy hell. Anyway, let's get back to it. Anyway, immediately after Jesse leaves us, we have an encounter in a flooded shopping centre in order to get the boat that would take us to the aquarium. And this encounter was an absolute bitch. But we do eventually make it through, earn our first trophy in about 7 hours of gameplay for finding 12 workbenches, take down another bloater in an arcade, and press on to the aquarium. But when we get there, oh no, Abby isn't there. Just Owen and Mel. And things don't go down too well, or knowing Ellie, maybe they go exactly how she planned, because she ends up shooting Owen and then stabbing a pregnant Mel in the neck. She really likes that move. Distraught at what she's just done, Tommy and Jesse, who conveniently weren't killed by the 100 of wolves hunting them down, by the way, take Ellie back to the theatre, leaving behind her map, which again is so beyond careless for someone who has been brought up during an apocalypse to leave behind a map that definitively states where you're hiding. Even if she is really just emotional, it's so amateur. Oh, this is the woman that has taken down hundreds and hundreds of infected and hundreds of dangerous soldiers, and she just leaves her map on the floor. Anyway, with the map left on the floor, Abby tracks them down to the theatre, and then this happens.
Jesse, stand up. Hands in the air, I shoot this one too.
Don't you do it, Ellie. Get out of here.
Stand up, now.
Don't you fucking dare.
Shut the fuck up. Fuck. All right, stop. Stop. Toss your weapon. Toss your weapon! Fuck.
No.
I know why you killed Joel. He did what he did to save me. There is no cure because of me. I am the one that you want. Just let him go. You killed my friends. We let you both live. And you wasted it.
Game cuts to black. And then...
Dad? 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 Come on.
I cannot express how much I hate this decision from the writers of Naughty Dog. To have us play through 15 hours as Ellie, 18 hours for me because I'm useless at video games, with the tension rising through that whole time to the face-off between her and Abby, and then we finally have that face-off, and then the tension falls off of a fucking cliff into the Mariana Trench and just keeps going to the center of the earth because we end up playing as Abby as she's trying to look for her dad in a fucking jungle. And why would we care? But hey, look, there's a zebra. That's cool. Do you remember the giraffe in the first game? Oh my god, that's so awesome. I've forgotten about that climactic showdown between Ellie and Abby now because there's an animal. Nothing that Abby does at this point matters to me one iota, because all I care about is what happens at the theatre. Playing through the whole of Abby's section in this game, all I'm doing is going through the motions, because all I want to do is get back to that theatre. Honestly, like, it made me hate Abby even more. I don't now just resent the fact that she killed Joel. I resent the fact that she's taken that climactic scene away from me. It's just such an awful, awful decision. And by the way, the game also makes it so blatantly obvious that it's trying to get across how similar Ellie and Abby are. How the player's hypocritical for rooting for one over the other. Like, oh look, Abby and her father, they found a zebra, and it's just like how Joel and Ellie found a giraffe, but they're helping the zebra now. They didn't help the giraffe, they just petted it a bit. So Abby actually the kind of character, full caps lock, no clickbait. Oh look, Abby's father dies, which sends Abby on a revenge mission, just like Joel dying and Ellie going on a revenge mission. Oh look, one of Abby's friends is fucking pregnant. Do you remember Dina? She's pregnant as well. It hits you over the head with this messaging, yet all most people think when they play this game, especially this part, is I fucking hate Abby. So it clearly doesn't land. Anyway, so yeah, it turns out that the surgeon Joel killed in the first game was actually Abby's father, which is why she had to test her 5-iron swing on Joel's face. Once we've gone gallivanting through the forest, we then have to cut back to just after Joel's death, and we're introduced to Abby's gang and their base in Lumen Field, or Soundview Stadium, which I think it's called in this game, which was actually pretty cool. Like, I will say, like, I obviously want to get back to the theatre stuff, but seeing this stadium and how it's been used as a base of operations in an apocalypse was pretty freaking cool. And then we have this moment where once again the game is trying to convince us that Abby is a great person because, oh look, she has a dog. Isn't that adorable? You like dogs. She likes dogs. You're the same. Ignore the fact that she took a club to the head of one of your favorite video game protagonists of all time. And look at her with the dog. Isn't it just adorable? Here we also earn a trophy for beating Manny in a shooting competition. Honestly, dude, if you're getting beaten by me, you shouldn't be going on patrol. And then we also get another trophy for finding 5 coins with Abby. So we head out on patrol with our squadron, and what the fuck, Mel? What are you doing here? You're like at least 6 months pregnant. Why the fuck are you coming on patrol? And why is everybody letting her? Are you taking the... Why are you just letting her go on patrol? She's 6 months fucking pregnant. Oh, and look, we're under attack by Seraphites now. I sure am glad we have a fucking pregnant lady in the car with us. Honestly, look at this shit. Mel is going to have a miscarriage from the stress alone. And that's if she doesn't get shot. We end up in a hardware store where we have to take down a load of infected. And once again, Mel is just running about 6 months fucking pregnant. What? And then we have to cut through this warehouse and Abby's pushing this winch and then it ends up breaking, which almost kills pregnant lady, by the way. That doesn't really get a mention. It's all sort of like, oh, sorry. Not the fact that pregnant lady had to do an Indiana Jones and dive to get away from the closing door. So, how do we get out now? Well, don't worry, guys. We have the pregnant girl literally clamber up the scaffolding, balance on a beam about 30 feet in the air so she can open a door to let Abby up. Honestly, this shit is crazy. After sneaking past a load more Seraphites, we make it to what appears to be the main base for the wolves. I actually, again, really enjoyed this part of the game. Naughty Dog... They got a lot wrong with this game, I'm going to admit, at least in my opinion. Obviously, games are subjective. You might have a different opinion, but you can't fault their world building. It's second to none. And when we rock up to Nora, who shows us the room full of body bags, God, I thought that was so cool. This just shows the results of Ellie, Tommy's, Jesse's actions throughout the game. So we're then introduced to the leader of the wolves, Isaac, who explains that Owen... You know, our friend Owen from on the edge of the cliff. Yeah, he's gone AWOL and killed another wolf, his friend Danny, to protect a Seraphite, which is that cult clan thing. Yeah, these guys are like at war all the time. So he's protected one of those and killed one of his own. Not a good idea. So Abby, knowing that Owen wouldn't just do this, there must be a good reason, wants to go to find Owen to find out what happened exactly. And she knows where Owen will be because they found this aquarium a few years back together. And we have a whole flashback showing that. But honestly, it's boring. Nothing happens. So we're just going to skip over it. Just know he'll be at the aquarium. So on our way to find Owen, we actually find this artifact, which I think is a reference to Jak and Daxter. Or, Jak and Daxter. I think that's the name of the game. It might be Jackson Dax. No, that's not right. We get a trophy for it. So that's pretty cool. We then run into Fran from Dodgeball and go all Mike Tyson on her ear. But it's not enough as we're kidnapped and guess what? We have another flashback. This one, once again, is kind of boring, but I did get a high score in this archery game, which gave me another trophy. Oh, and they also discussed the setup for Joel's murder, so I guess there's that. With the flashback over, we wake up and are being dragged along the forest floor. We then come face to face with this crazy woman and meet Yara and Lev. With the crazy woman dealt with, we face some stalkers before having to come up against Fran properly. We then have to make a dash for it, and I'm not joking. Forget what I said about Hellcrest. I'm not joking when I say this is the most difficult part of the whole game. You're in this abandoned building, and after letting Yara and Lev go through a window, you have to basically take on waves of infected until Yara and Lev come back to save you. And you have everything coming at you. Runners, clickers, even shamblers. I'm not joking when I say I died over 50 times here, and it took me almost an hour to complete. It was just so brutal. And again, once I did it, I mean, just look, this is such a happy man. Almost as happy as I'd be if you clicked the share button just below me under the video and then click the copy link button. You don't even need to share it anywhere. YouTube takes that as a share, which then thinks, oh, this must be a great video. People are sharing it. Let's push it even more. So if you could do that and help me out with the algorithm, that would just be amazing. Anyway, after the absolute nightmare that was that encounter, we leave the kids in a trailer to fend for themselves, even though one of them literally has only one working arm. Oh yeah, I don't think I touched on that. Yeah, her arm was literally hammered. On the way to the aquarium, we pick up another trophy for finding all the training manuals. And when we eventually reach the aquarium, we find Owen, who explains that the Seraphite he let go was old, tired, and ready to die. Wait, so you decided not to kill that one, but all the young ones? Okay, sure, why not? Yeah, so of course Owen refused to kill him because he was ready for death. So his partner Danny, understandably, didn't understand that because it's fucking brain dead. They got into a tussle and Danny was shot. In reward for his brave work, Abby lets him clap her cheeks. Honestly, this comes out of nowhere and just doubles down that Abby is just a horrible person. I mean, to be clear, you remember Mel, the pregnant one? She is pregnant with Owen's baby. They're together. Abby had a thing with Owen a while back. It's over now. He's with Mel, the pregnant one. And here she is. Yeah. And not only is she doing that, but remember, she's ditched 2 kids with 3 arms between them in a trailer to fend for themselves. And we're meant to like this person. So, after sleeping with Owen, Abby then dreams of walking back into the surgical theatre where her father was killed. Except this time, it's Yara and Lev. So she suddenly feels a moral obligation to find them and bring them back to the aquarium. Which we do. And it turns out that Yara's arm that was literally hammered hasn't magically got better. And now she has compartment syndrome. Meaning it has to be amputated. But guess what? We don't have any of the equipment that it takes to amputate an arm. So we have to go to the hospital to get the medical equipment and then come back to the aquarium. And if that is starting to sound like a fetch quest, it's because it's a fetch quest. Oh my God. Honestly, Abby's portion of the game is such a slog, which is why I think she's also had a lot of the harder encounters in the game during her portion, just because the game Naughty Dog need to make her side a lot more interesting. So they can't do that in the story, so they do that in the gameplay. But it doesn't really work because through those harder encounters, all you're thinking is, I'm literally just doing this so we can get some medical equipment. And it's not like, okay, I'm going on a rant. It's not like Left Behind, the DLC, right? Of Last of Us Part 1. It's not like that. Because when we're going for medical equipment on that game with Ellie, it's because we're getting it for Joel. And we like Joel. And we want to get that medical equipment as much as Ellie does in order to help Joel. Here, with all due respect, I don't know, Yara. Why am I having to do all this work to save the arm, or save the life even, of this young girl I've known for 5 minutes, just because Abby is suddenly feeling guilty because she clapped cheeks with one guy who's got a pregnant missus? Like, why, Naughty Dog? I will say, as we're making our way to the hospital, we do learn a great deal about Lev and his situation. And he's by far the most interesting character in Abby's whole side of the story. And that includes Abby. See, we learn that Lev is trans, being born as Lily. And after coming out to Yara, she insists that Lev keeps it a secret for his own safety. Obviously, they were Seraphites at the time, and being transsexual within a cult usually doesn't go down too well. But later, his hand was forced, because we later learn from Yara, he was assigned to be the wife of an elder, denying his wish to be a soldier like his sister Yara. So obviously, as a transsexual man, he doesn't want to be the wife to another man. So in defiance, he shaves his head and changed his name to Lev, announcing his gender dysmorphia to the world. This doesn't go down too well, meaning Lev had to flee for his life and Yara chose to go after him, resulting in her exile also. Their mother, on the other hand, remains a strong believer in the cult and the Seraphite traditions, so cut all ties with the children and even started refusing food to repent for their sins. It's a really interesting and frankly heartbreaking story, and in a world where it seems more and more LGBTQ characters are added for the sake of representation with little backstory, but rather to score internet points or stoke a reaction.
I promise I can help him get home and then you'll never see me again.
You're assuming he as a pronoun.
It's literally a giant gizmo from the Gremlins. It was great to have a fully fleshed out character whose story wasn't just their gender dysmorphia for once, but rather their experiences because of it. Also, on the way, I earned a couple more trophies, one for fully upgrading the crossbow, and another for finding and unlocking every safe. So, eventually we reach the hospital and find Nora, who tells us that the only place to get the medicine we need is in the basement, which was ground zero for the infection in Seattle, meaning that's where the first infected were found and locked away. Why they didn't just destroy the whole hospital and start again a few years into the outbreak, I have no idea, but they just left them down there to fester. And it also turns out that the guards we passed while going into the hospital, they ended up calling Isaac, and he isn't very happy that we were running away from base without his permission. Luckily though, Nora covers for us and we head into the basement where we find the medicine and holy mother of Christ on a bicycle playing a ukulele. What the fuck is that thing? So we're running and we're running and we're running until we can run no more. Now, this ugly son of a bitch, this guy is called the Rat King. And he was the only boss I was aware of before I started this game. Nobody mentioned Hellcrest. Nobody mentioned the part where you're stuck in the hotel. Nobody even mentioned the part where you're stuck in whatever this building is meant to be, taking on wave and wave of infected. But they had mentioned this fight. So I was in for a torrid time. And honestly, it wasn't that bad. I died 6 times, which when you compare to the 50 I died at Hellcrest or 80 I died at whatever this building is, it meant it was an absolute cakewalk in comparison. With the medicine under our arms, we meet up with Lev and head back to the aquarium, getting there just in time to save Yara. Yay! I had to kill a fucking beast because of you. Look at her. She's all right. Get it? Because she's lost her left arm. So she's all right. After the operation, we then overhear Lev and Yara having an argument. So Yara wants to join Owen and Mel on their journey to Santa Barbara because they heard of a Firefly settlement out there. But Lev doesn't want to leave his mother behind, despite the fact that his mother will literally not accept him and will probably actively try to kill him to repent for his sins. Lev ignores Yara's protests and runs away back to Seraphite Island to find his mother. And honestly, I would rate this from Lev. I really would. It shows that he's a very forgiving person, a very caring person, and he's not ready to give up on his mother just yet. But it is directly contradictory to something he'd said on our journey to the hospital. Here, Abby asks Lev if he has any regrets, and Lev simply says he wishes he had ran away sooner. He wishes that so Yara and his mother weren't dragged into the mess that he caused. And now, here he was, running back to his mother, running back to the belly of the beast, not thinking that Yara is probably going to go chase after him, and that if he finds his mother, it's going to put both him and her into much more danger than if he just left it. Like, this scene would have worked so much better if this simple line of dialogue wasn't in the game. But as it stands, it's so inconsistent with his character. Anyway, we run after Lev because, of course, we do. And on our way, we find Manny. You remember this guy from back in the stadium section? Well, it turns out that there's this killer sniper at the top of the marina who shoots at anyone he sees. Now, clearly, this is the same man that the Wolves were talking about back in this flooded mall section with Ellie and Jesse. So, pretty cool. Anyway, we make our way up, sneaking behind cover to try and reach him. And as we get close, he kills Manny. Oh no, not Manny. But we eventually find him, and oh look, it's Tommy. Who could have seen that one coming? So we have a bit of a tussle, and then somehow Yara is up here with us now. How the fuck did you get up here? Anyway, she fucking stabs him, and then we push him off the pier. That's a good 30-foot drop. He's not surviving that one. So with Tommy now presumed dead, we crack on with our journey to Seraphite Island, and on the way, we see all the wolf boats reaching the island for the big attack. Oh wait, I didn't even mention the big attack. Honestly, it doesn't really matter. But basically, like I mentioned earlier, the wolves and the Seraphites are like always fighting, and Isaac, the big boss of the wolves, is like, I want no more fighting. So in order to do that, they start fighting again. So he sends a load more boats, and then there's all-out war. Other than a really cool set piece later in the game, it really, really doesn't matter. Anyway, when we reach the village, we find Lev and Yara's mother dead, with Lev crying in the corner. Turns out his mother wasn't very accepting of her son and had attacked him, so he had no choice but to kill her in self-defense. Who would have thought just turning up on her doorstep wasn't going to be a good idea, huh? But the main thing is, we're all safe and sound now. So we head out of the village and try to find a boat so we can get back to the aquarium. But on the way, we run into a load of wolves, including Isaac. And now it's Abby between the guns and the Seraphites, just like Owen a couple of days before. See how that happens? But Yara kills Isaac before being killed? You can't kill Yara. What the fuck? I've just gone on a 2-hour-long fetch quest so we could save Yara. And then 45 minutes later, you're killing her off. Are you kidding me? I don't care that she sacrificed herself so Lev could live. Why make us do all that work just to kill her off an hour later? I had to kill the Rat King so she could live, and then she dies anyway. After escaping with Lev, we make it back to the aquarium, but of course there's been a visitor while we've been away. So we find Owen and Mel dead on the floor. Abby is distraught, and of course Lev finds the map that Ellie had left, which conveniently clearly marks where they're based. Well done, Ellie. I take my hat off to you for that one. So we go to the theatre, break in through a conveniently open window, and finally, after 13 hours of gameplay, we are back to where we were in the theatre. And we get to see this fight go down. After some words, Tommy... Oh yeah, by the way, Tommy's... You know that 40-foot drop into stormy waters after being stabbed? Yeah, he's still alive. So Tommy tries to take Abby down, so he gets shot in the face. And then Ellie runs, so we are still playing as Abby and chase her down. Oh, did I mention that Jesse got shot? I can't... This video's been going on so long. I can't... Jesse got shot. I'm pretty sure it was in the cutscene I would have showed. I hope I did. But yeah, Jesse's dead. Tommy's just been shot in the face, so he's dead. And anyway, so we're still playing as Abby at this point, and we have to chase down Ellie through the theatre. And even after playing as Abby for the past 13 hours, and all the attempts the game made to try to make me like Abby, I wanted that bitch dead. Yes! Yes! Sorry, I'll count it. I just wanted that one. I just wanted that one in there. Apparently, I wasn't the only one who did that as well, which I just find hilarious. Naughty Dog tried so hard for us to, take a look at who we're rooting for and is there anything different? No, but I still prefer Ellie, so I want Abby to die. Anyway, it turns out that the game doesn't actually want you to kill Abby, so instead you have to sneak up on Ellie a few times and then just punch the shit out of her until you get a cutscene.
Stop! She had nothing to do with this. She's pregnant. Good. Abby.
Don't ever let me see you again.
I have a lot to say about this shit. Throughout my time with Abby, she has proven that she is cutthroat, brutal, selfish. This is the character that brutally tortured Joel with a golf club, has choked out and shot dozens of Seraphites, and hell, she didn't have to be told twice before she turned the gun on her old acquaintances or maybe even friends. She knows and had lived with these people her whole life, and she was more than willing to gun them down. But now, at this point, she's in the room with Ellie. This is the person that killed the man she loved. All her close friends, hell, even her fucking dog. I mean, John Wick killed half a city population just looking for the man who killed his dog. And here is cutthroat, brutal, selfish Abby with the person who did all that, and she doesn't kill her because Lev gave her a look. Are you fucking serious? This is so inconsistent with her character. Abby should have slit Dina's throat and then tied Ellie to a chair and beat her to death with a golf club the exact same way she did Joel with her 5-iron. As sick and twisted as that is, it would have been everything comes full circle narrative. That is the sort of person Abby is. That is what her character should do. But no, she doesn't, because she's had a redemption arc. Helping a zebra once and petting a dog doesn't make up for the 13 hours of brutal killings I've just done. Hell, it doesn't come close to making up for what she did to Joel alone. The inconsistencies with this game's characters are so frustrating. Why has just meeting 2 children meant Abby is now willing to spare the woman that has just made her last 3 days in absolute misery? Anyway, after that cutscene, we're on a farm with Ellie and Dina. They both survived, and somehow so did Dina's baby. Like, she was literally shot with an arrow, and not only did she survive, but so did the baby inside of her. Sure. Okay. Anyway, it turns out Ellie has big mental problems because of Joel's death, PTSD, panic attacks, anxiety, that sort of thing. Then one day Tommy turns up and he starts talking. Oh, what was that? You saw Tommy get shot in the face? Well, yes, that is true, but that's why he squints a bit and has a limp. But other than that, nah, he's fine, honestly. So Tommy sits Ellie down and tells her that he got a lead from someone who's recently arrived at Jackson, that they saw someone who matched Abby's description in Santa Barbara. Which, I mean, is another big fucking coincidence and nice to know. But now Ellie has a life. She has the life she's always wanted. She has her farm with Dina, which they literally speak about one day wanting in the downtown section of the game. They have a child here. And other than the panic attacks and horrific dreams of her father figure being tortured before her very eyes, she's happy. But it turns out Tommy isn't that happy that Abby is still alive. So he guilt trips Ellie into going after her. I mean, what the fuck? This is actually horrific. This game has been very inconsistent with its characters. Like, I pointed it out, right? But this is just pure character assassination at this point. To be honest, I just wish Tommy had died. because then they couldn't have ruined his character like this. This is the Tommy that was willing to travel halfway across the country in the first game to get Ellie to the Fireflies because it's what his brother wanted and his brother wasn't sure he was up for the job. He went to avenge the death of his brother on his own. I'm guessing in an attempt to protect Ellie and stop her going. Hell, go back 30 years and he was willing to sacrifice himself so Joel and Sarah could get away. That same Tommy was now not just willing to allow Ellie to go give up her dream and risk her life to once again chase revenge, but he was guilt-tripping her into doing it. This one hurt. Because when Ellie refused to go with Jesse to help Tommy earlier on in the game, it was massively inconsistent with her character and I hated it, don't get me wrong. But at least it was consistent with her motive. Ever since Joel's death, all she wanted was revenge. But with Tommy, immediately after Joel's death, he's trying to talk Ellie down, explaining that an attack on Seattle will leave Jackson exposed and sending only a few is a death sentence against the WLF. So for him now to turn to Ellie like this, it's like it's written by someone who doesn't really understand these characters and doesn't really care, which I know is not the case. I'm not saying that Naughty Dog don't care about their characters, because of course they do. I just don't understand this move here. And it doesn't even need it. Ellie's PTSD, her lack of ability to sleep, and overall just mental health problems that she has right now, that is easily enough for her to turn around and say to Dina, I need to find Abby. I need closure. But they needed her to have a way to know where Abby is, to know that Abby is in Santa Barbara. So they needed to come up with this convenient plot device that someone had come into Jackson who had been through Santa Barbara and had seen someone who fitted Abby's description. You know, she was built like an ox and she traveled with a young boy who had a bow and arrow. And in order to deliver that information, they assassinate Tommy's whole character. And it's so frustrating because it's lazy. Why not come up with another way? Why not have Ellie overhear Mel and Owen before she kills them in the aquarium? Why not have her overhear their plan to go to Santa Barbara and take Abby with them? Why not do something like that where Ellie knows where Abby is the whole time, but just doesn't have the confidence to go for it until the mental health problems just become too much and she has to for her own mental well-being, for her own closure? Why do you have to assassinate Tommy's whole character just to get Ellie to go after Abby again? Hell, why not forget this whole section of the game and just finish it in the theatre? Why did we need to have them split up just for them to start fighting again? Oh, it's so frustrating, man. So Ellie decides she's going, even though Dina, the only character using any iota of sense, by the way, warns her that if she goes, her and the baby won't be there when she gets back. But Ellie goes anyway. We then have a flashback to the night before we first control Ellie. The same night she first kisses Dina. So they kiss, they then get harassed by Bigot Sandwiches Guy, which explains why he's called Bigot Sandwiches Guy. Joel steps in and Ellie gets mad at Joel for intervening because she's clearly not over him lying to her for the last few years about what happened at Utah. After that, we cut back to Abby, who is in Santa Barbara with Lev looking for this Firefly base, and in the basement of one of the homes, she finds a former base with a radio. And after calling on a few frequencies and getting no luck, she finally finds the one she's looking for. And it's revealed that Owen's intel of a Firefly base in Santa Barbara is in fact correct. Unfortunately for her, however, when they leave the house, they are attacked by a group of hunters known as the Rattlers. And honestly, they don't really matter, but they kidnap Abby and Lev. So now we're with Ellie, who is tracking them down and has found their boat. Somehow, I guess she just went to Santa Barbara and looked for a boat. She then gets caught in a trap. She can't walk out because I love you too much. Sorry. But no, she eventually gets found by two Rattlers, who are the ones who set up the trap, who just so happen to be the same ones who found Abby. What a coincidence. By the way, I'm sorry, I don't mean to get distracted. Can I just mention how good Ellie looks with the hair down? Damn, you go, girl. Anyway, she feeds one of the rattlers to a clicker before she getting the information she needs on Abby from the other rattler, and then killing him and stealing his machine gun, which earns us another trophy for finding all the weapons in the game. So we head off to find Abby, and honestly, nothing interesting happens until we find the house she's kept in, other than we found the last workbench in the game and popped another trophy, and the fact that this level with all the clickers chained up, and this was so fucking I got so annoyed with this level that I stopped keeping track of my deaths. Remember, I've never played this game. I didn't know how close I was to the end. I hoped I was close, but I thought we were at the end in the theater. And the fact that I was having to do all this, like, I was a bit frustrated with the game. The gameplay is fantastic, but I just wanted it to end at this point. I wanted grounded difficulty to end. Eventually, we make it downstairs to find the cells where the rattler slaves are being kept. And one of them tells us that Abby had tried to escape, so she was being kept at a place called The Pillars. So we head down to the beach and find her strung up, weak and broken. Ellie gets her knife and then... I'm sorry. She cuts her down? What the fuck? Oh, hang on. Are we doing it the old-fashioned way? Ellie. No. Please don't tell me we came all this way to save her. Did we fuck? Excuse me, I'm choosing my pistol game. Would really like to use my pistol right now. Game. Video. This is bit. They might have changed it to another button. I'm gonna just press all the buttons in the hope there's a shoot Abby in their back of their head button. Fuck me. Don't do this to me. Ellie is not going to come all this way and let Joel's killer live. 35 hours of playing this game. Please do not tell me it ends with Ellie letting her live. Ellie does actually eventually start fighting Abby and even threatens an unconscious child to goad her into fighting back. What? Ellie? What the fuck? Oh god. Well, like once again, Ellie is just completely sick in the head in this game. It is messed up. It's messed up. Anyway, I absolutely skin Abby. You can see me ducking and diving. I'm smashing it. I've been training for this. Come on. Boom. Slash, slash, slash. Come on! And again. Come on, have at me, Abby. Come on. So eventually, after a cutscene where she bites our fingers off, we're holding her under the water and we have her exactly where we want her. And then Ellie has a vision of Joel playing the guitar on his porch. And rather than fill her with rage at what she's lost and make her commit to the act of killing Abby, she lets Abby go. She lets her go. So in fact, I did that last chapter in Santa Barbara, 45 minutes of dying in that house so we could save Abby. Yeah, so after saving Abby's life, we head back to the farm and it's revealed that Ellie's lost her fingers after Abby bit them off. And not just that, but Dina fulfilled her promise and her and the baby are now gone. Ellie heads upstairs to find Joel's old guitar, but with her 2 fingers gone, she can no longer play. We then have the final flashback of the game, and the final time Ellie saw Joel before his death. Here they air their feelings about what happened in Utah, and Joel doubles down, explaining that if he could go back, he'd do it all over again. And Ellie explains that while she's not ready to forgive him, she'll try. And then she leaves him on the porch. Back in the present, she sets the guitar down by the window, leaves the farm to go back to Jackson, and the credits roll. And after 35 hours and well over 500 deaths, we completed the game on grounded difficulty. But you might notice we're only actually 49% of the way through the game's trophies. Yep, ladies and gentlemen, due to a lack of resources during the grounded run, I'm going to have to do a full New Game Plus run. So while Past Me goes ahead and does that real quick, I just want to quickly talk about the game because I know it's a controversial one. And as you've heard over the video so far, I have been very critical of it, especially the story. I just want to make it clear. Last of Us Part 2, this is a very, very good game. The gameplay is fantastic. The animations are flawless. The voice actors are superb. And the graphics, again, for a PS4 game, are frankly astonishing. But I'm not going to stand here and pretend that I liked a lot of the decisions Naughty Dog made in this game. Oh, I've just earned a trophy. And before people come in the comments and tell me, you just didn't like the game because they killed off Joel. No, that's just simply not true. Or the fact that they made me play as Joel's killer. What I hate is the way it was handled. The game draws heavy comparisons between Ellie and Abby throughout the run, clearly wanting to force the player to question the side that they're supporting. But it doesn't work. There is a reason that I wanted Abby to die in the theater. There is a reason why every other person who did a run through of this game did the exact same thing.
I'm open. Here, do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. Yeah! Alright, game over.
And it's because while Ellie might have killed Owen, Mel, and all those other people, even the dog, I like Ellie and I don't care about them. Other than the dog. I like Ellie because I have followed her on her journey in part 1. I watched her grow and I cared far more about Joel dying than anyone else in the game. Because I had built a bond and a care for him. Not just for his character, but for the relationship that he has with Ellie. Hell, my favourite part of the game was the flashback in the museum, and that's probably the one part of the game you could cut out and it have absolutely zero effect on the story. But it gave me more of what made part 1 so good. Joel and Ellie. So while I understand Abby's motivations for killing Joel, I still don't like her for it and want Ellie to get revenge. And the switching to us playing as Abby halfway through the game is just a horrible, horrible mistake. If you're going to have a switch between the two characters, you need to do it from chapter to chapter, or at least cut when Ellie kills Mel and Owen, rather than at the point in the theater. I fully understand why thousands of people refuse to play anymore from that point, because all the tension builds to this final battle between Ellie and Abby, and then the rug is pulled out from under your feet. You do 4 somersaults and you crash on your ass, and you're wondering what the hell happened. If the player didn't already resent playing as Abby because of what she did to Joel, I can guarantee they resented playing as her when they had to play through the slowest part of the game, just as the story was seeming to reach its climax. Oh, another couple of trophies. Nice. My overall thoughts on The Last of Us Part 2, honestly, it could be summed up with a sentence. The Last of Us Part 2 is just so damn sad. There are very few positive moments in the game. And I'm not saying, like, critically, like, I don't have a positive view of them. I'm saying there are very few moments that really make me happy. Everything just seems to double down on this somber tone, which again is probably why this flashback stands out so damn much. Even the other flashbacks with Joel are just filled with tension. And while their ending was nice, after everything the player has been through, would it have hurt to have Ellie just forgive him and give him a hug? It would have made Joel's death so much more heartbreaking, because he would have died just as he finally gained the acceptance from his adopted daughter, and it would have given us a positive and heartwarming end that, let's be honest, the player wholeheartedly deserved after devoting 35 hours to completing this damn game on Grounded. As you can probably tell, I've actually thought a great deal about this game after now completing it twice. For me, the story would have just worked a whole lot better if the game opened up exactly how it did, with Joel and Tommy, then Joel going to see Ellie. But rather than cutting 4 years later, instead we cut to 3 years later and we're introduced to Abby and her gang in Seattle, 2 years after the death of her father. We meet Abby and her friends and they go out on patrol and help their community. They're clearly good, caring people who are willing to put the needs of the weaker ahead of their own. And they've even taken in a young boy and his sister who was exiled from the Seraphites because of their sexuality. Once again, showing morality. First impressions are everything. And our first impression of Abby in the game is this, when it should be this. So in my world, we then spend a chapter living with the life of a member of the WLF, protecting the stadium, killing infected, and defending ourselves from the crazed cults, the Seraphites. Let's say Isaac would then pull Abby into his office and tell her that they found him. And he's in a base in Wyoming. At this point, we don't know who he is, nor whether this is a good thing or a bad thing. Obviously, you'd probably guess it's Joel or maybe Tommy, but you don't know whether, they're related to one of them, they're just looking for them the way Joel was looking for Tommy, or whether they are looking to kill him. We then cut to 6 months later, playing as Ellie, and that pretty much plays out exactly as it does in the game. Ellie goes on patrol, Abby finds Joel, she knocks him out, and then he awakens strapped to a chair. Not he walks in and just stands in the middle of the room. No, he's knocked out, and he's strapped to a chair where he can do nothing. She tells him exactly who she is, because once again, in the game, Joel never finds out why Abby is torturing him, unless it happens off screen. So she tells him exactly who she is and what he did to her father. Holding back the tears, she puts a gun to his head. No torture, clean and quick, and you can see how much it means to her, how broken she is. And before she pulls the trigger, Ellie comes crashing through the door, just like she does in the game. She's tackled down and Abby immediately swings the gun in her direction. Joel screams, "It's me you want, leave her out of it." Abby turns back with the gun pointing at Joel, takes a breath, holds back the tears, and pulls the trigger. Ellie's ears rings with the gunshot as she sobs on the floor. Someone kicks her and she passes out. And now from here, we play as Ellie exactly as we do in the game. But this time, because you've got the setup and you've grown to know Abby before what she did to Joel, and you know her motivation behind it, and you know they're good, caring people deep down, you're in real conflict as you see Ellie commit these horrible, horrible acts against them. You genuinely begin to question who you're rooting for. They let Ellie go, and they only killed Joel because of what Joel did to them. Does one life really equate to the hundreds that Ellie is taking? That is proper contrast. Eventually, we would reach the point at the theater, and this is where the game ends, right? We don't have any Santa Barbara, no rattlers, nothing like that. Jesse dies, Dina and Tommy both get injured, and Abby and Ellie both beat each other to within an inch of their lives. And then as they both lie on the floor, broken, Abby musters up the strength to say, "He killed my dad." She then uses her last bit of muscle to stand up over Ellie and says, "Joel killed my father. My dad was a good man, and he wouldn't have wanted this," gesturing towards Tommy and Dina, who are injured on the floor. Oh, and of course, Jesse dead. I keep forgetting about Jesse. And at that point, she then just walks away. Ellie then breaks down, truly realizing what her need for revenge has done to those she cares about most. She's not breaking down because Abby's getting away and Abby killed Joel. She's breaking down because the people she cares about are in real danger of dying, and one of them has, because of her quest for revenge. We then have the epilogue on the farm with Dina, Ellie, and the baby, JJ. Tommy comes to visit, let's say to help Ellie fix the tractor or something, before turning around and saying, "You've done good, kid. He would have been proud." Later in the day, Ellie is putting JJ to bed, and he's fidgeting, refusing to sleep, just as babies do. Leave a comment down below if you have a kid and you can relate. I don't have a kid, but I'd imagine that's something they do. Anyway, to calm JJ down, Ellie pulls out that iconic guitar and, of course, starts playing Future Days until he sleeps. Of course, I'm not a video game writer or anything of the sort. This was just something that came to me after I finished the game and I was going to sleep, and it seemed to lay itself out in front of me like that. So there's no doubt flaws in my ideas, and you'll probably let me know about those in the comments down below. But I just think in terms of structure, it's far more balanced and enjoyable than the story we were given. And it's still telling a similar enough narrative. It also keeps the characters consistent with who they are and who they were in the first game, which Part 2 completely failed to do, in my opinion. And more importantly, it would be a hell of a lot more positive than the game we were given. Anyway, let me know what you think about my story that I laid out down below, and maybe leave your own if you think of ways it can be improved, or maybe you think it was perfect. If you do, that's completely fair enough. It is just my opinion playing the game. Oh look, we've completed the New Game Plus run, and here's the trophy for completing it on permadeath. Easiest difficulty though, like obviously. And here's the platinum. Here's the platinum. Platinum. Okay. So, yeah, it turns out during the second run, even on the easiest difficulty, I still didn't have enough supplements to fully learn all of Abby's upgrades. In fact, I'm missing one. One upgrade. One fucking upgrade. So, now I have to play another New Game Plus save until I get enough supplements as Abby. Which means replaying all of Ellie's sections as well. And I haven't done it yet. So. Oh, fuck. Fine. I'll do it now. Fuck me.
6.5 hours later.
Guys, we're getting lonely out here.
Are you happy now?